Playoff coverage brought to you by TDECU. It is SNL. Landry Locker, Cody Stoots with you. Get that fresh new Texans debit card. Get 15% off the Texans team shop. Go to tdecu.org/Texans. Do what Cody did and be cool. And if you don't want the Texans debit card, they got plenty for you. CJ Stroud does it. Cody does it. You should do it too.
Yeah, TDECU is fantastic. Your credit union, not just a slogan, they mean it. They're going to do some fantastic stuff for you when you get signed up.
Let's live on the edge here for a minute. The edge duo showdown between the Texans and the Steelers. We talk a lot about the Texans defense. Doesn't feel like when we talk about the Steelers, there's a lot of Mike Tomlin talk. There's a lot of Aaron Rodgers talk, but I mean, they got a hell of a duo. They got one of the three best edge guys in the game, I would say, in TJ Watt, and they got one of the more underrated ones in Mr. Highsmith. We know the Texans, most people would say they have the best edge duo. Steelers are in that conversation when you start to talk top five edge duos, and it'll be interesting to see not just how Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter eat, and we know what happens when they both eat and they're both getting sacks. The Texans win, but how Ariante Ursary and the Texans tackles handle the Pittsburgh edge, Cody.
Yeah, I can remember 2 years ago in 2023 when TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith were coming to Houston, and I was pretty worried for CJ Stroud in that situation, in that matchup, and they've done nothing since then to kind of downgrade how dangerous it feels Watt and Highsmith can be. Obviously, TJ Watt's not playing up to his normal standards because of the injuries that he's dealing with, but you don't need him to be great for 60 minutes. He just has to go out there and change the game, on the 20, 25 snaps that they're going to give him or whatever he can go out there and play. And then Highsmith, he feels pretty consistent from what they have been able to do with him. And you think about just played a lot of football, gone against a lot of good tackles. And, could he have something for Ursary, who's stepping into his first playoff, game in his NFL career. So certainly something that if you're looking at ways that Pittsburgh can make the Texans miserable, can have an edge, can maybe force a turnover. They do a good job at forcing turnovers. Pittsburgh does. That edge duo is where you kind of start and where you kind of think about it and where you start looking at it.
Yeah, and I thought about this. So we've talked about the Steelers, and I think it's been given. I think Christopher brings up a good point in the chat. He says we're acting like it's a bye week. I agree with you. It is being looked at. It's being talked about as a game that you wanted this matchup. You should be able to win this game. You're favored to win this game. But I thought about this, and I was trying to think about this from Pittsburgh's point of view. And I think from the Steelers' point of view, I don't think their feelings are too hurt that they're playing the Texans. Now, I think they probably would have rather played the Chargers because the Chargers are so banged up. But I think if you ask them, would you rather play the Texans or would you rather play the Bills? I think they would rather play the Texans because the Texans offense leaves a lot to be desired. The crazy thing is when you take your eyes off your own paper and you look at other offenses, you kind of scoff at them. And you and I have both been guilty of it. And we've said, well, oh God, the ghost of Aaron Rodgers. That's actually my line, but you know what I mean? Like Aaron Rodgers is washed up. Oh my God, Gainwell's their best player. Wow, that's pathetic. The offensive line, not great. But the points per game is like 0.5 of a difference. Like they're both 23 something points per game. The yardage is like a 20-yard difference. So when we start to kind of scoff at other offenses, I do think sometimes we forget just because the Texans have continued to win and the defense has been able to kind of be the lipstick on the pig of the offensive operation. They're probably saying the same thing about the Texans offense.
Yeah, when you look at the Texans offense, it's not like it blows you out of the water. It's not going to be some sort of amazing thing. And even some of the previous performances, because you can look at the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, that's not really the team it's really the last 6 weeks is kind of what you dial in on and you kind of focus in on. And over the last 6 weeks, the Texans have had some nice offensive performances. They've had some stinkers. They've had some how's the other team still in this game performances. And this is not a team that really at any point, if you show a pulse, has blown teams out. Like they blew out the Cardinals stink, and they blew out the Ravens. The Ravens stink. But a lot of other teams hung close and hung tough for a good portion of the game. And this is not an offense that is just going to just take advantage of your mistakes and grind you out. And even if you make a mistake, they're not typically putting 7 on the board. A lot of times it ends up being 3. So, yeah, when you look at it from Pittsburgh's point of view, there's danger to the Texans offense. Nico Collins is obviously really, really good. And CJ Stroud has had some really nice moments this year. But it's not like oh gosh, I can't believe we have to stop these guys.
Yeah. And you look at it too. And I think primetime is another factor as well. And as we start talking about the most impressive Steeler number that I think that we've seen, the 23 straight Monday night games at home, whatever the stat was, you look at Nick Caley in primetime games, and the numbers aren't great. I actually just tweeted these out before we went to the show. They're averaging 20.5 points per game, 262 yards per game. Those would both be the points would be bottom 5. The yards would be bottom 10 in the NFL over an average. They're 5 of 13 in the red zone, which is really kind of about what they do. And then they average less than 9 points per second half, and they average less than 86 yards in the second half. So you talk about this primetime thing, and that's another thing that I think we got to look at, because as impressive as that is with the Steelers, and they've had some mediocre teams, but they've always been able to win on Monday night for whatever the reason is. Nick Caley in primetime, it's been ugly, specifically in the second halves.
Oh, the second halves have been putrid. I mean, it's awful. And you put those stats up and you think about like, well, what's their season stat? The points aren't a huge difference, but you think about a difference in points. It's more than a field goal, I think, is the difference in points. Okay, well, a field goal worth of points in a close game in the playoffs, that's huge. The yards are it's like a 60-yard difference. Their season average and what they do in primetime. It's like that's a big drop off. And then you talk about the second half. They've just had some wretched second halves in big games against decent opponents. And they're not going on a Super Bowl run if they're putting up 6 points in second halves. Like they're not going to play in the Super Bowl. They're not going to play in the AFC Championship if they're consistently putting up 6 and 9 points in the second half of games. So they've got to figure out a way. And, maybe it's getting lucky winning the coin toss, starting the third quarter better, halftime adjust, whatever it is. They're bad in the second half more often than they're good in the second half, it feels like.
Yeah, so the primetime matchup, I think, is something to look at. But I don't think they're like the Steelers. I think they're very aware of what the Texans defense can do to them. I don't know that they're sitting there watching the tape on the defensive end and shaking in their boots. So I do think that is something to keep an eye on when it comes to the matchup. Shout out to TDECU once again for sponsoring our playoff coverage. The greatness of TDECU. Tell them how to get that debit card, Cody.
Yeah, tdcu.org/Texans, and you can start the process right there online. You can sign up. All you have to do is be a resident in the state of Texas to be a TDECU customer, or you can go into one of the 15 greater Houston area locations, and you can get in and out and get signed up in less than 20 minutes. That's how long it took me, less than 20 minutes. And if I hadn't sit there and chit-chatted so much, it'd probably been done faster. It's quick, it's easy, and man, the stuff that TDECU can do for you, not only are you getting the 15% off on the online team store, not only are you getting the cool Texans debit card, but the different advantages of the different checking accounts. They do a great job explaining that. They do everything at a top-notch level, and they do so much for you when you're a member at TDECU. Membership's required. They're insured by the NCUA, but check them out, tdcu.org/Texans.
Yep. Show them the number.
I'm not showing them the number on my debit card.
All right, there you go. So you don't have to do that. Let's talk about the quarterback, CJ Stroud. You asked this question, and it's always a polarizing thing. By the way, did you see the stats that I put out yesterday about CJ Stroud and his scrambling?
No, what are they?
So he has 20 yards scrambling in his 5 games since returning from the concussion. And to put
20 yards total?
Total. He has 20 yards total in his 5 games after coming back from the concussion. To put that in perspective, in 6 of 8 games before that, he had 20 plus. At least he had at least 20 plus, and he actually had 12 when he left the game. So he was well in route to having 20 plus. He has that much in the 5 games since. Last year in the playoffs, he actually did a really good job with his legs. I think he had 42 yards in each game. So this is the time where you need CJ Stroud to scramble. And look, I'm not sitting here saying that you're going to run zone reads with CJ Stroud, but there have been opportunities that he was taking advantage of early in the season, and we were praising him for it, that he did. He hasn't needed to the last 5, Although maybe there have been some opportunities where maybe the games wouldn't have been as close if you would have taken advantage of an opportunity here and there. But I think it's gonna have to get a little bit closer to the first 8 than the last 5, because they're gonna need it, because there's gonna be some pressure, and he's gonna have to use his legs, and whether it's getting down, whether it's diving, whatever. I understand there might be a fear, but it's gonna have to be overcome.
Well, he's got to be really smart with it too, because sometimes, there's hey, CJ's using his legs, and then the next thing you know, early in the season, it was, oh, there's a 9-yard loss because he tried to use his legs. Like, oh, that wasn't good. You didn't want that. But just some of those key moments, just stealing a new set of downs when it's 3rd and 4 and everybody's covered, and if he could just get 5 yards, get down, steal you a new set of downs, keep the thing on time, and keep the train on the tracks, like that's going to be huge. I'm not asking him to go out there and be Michael Vick, but yeah, I'm with you. That's got to be an element of his game that he can't be ignoring or can't be afraid to utilize. And this game, to me, you remember how bad that Chargers game started for him last year? Like, I know he had the backyard play to Xavier Hutchinson, and they got it going after that. But the offense had a really bad start. Stroud,
they were lost.
And Stroud was a part of it there in that game against the Chargers last year in the playoffs. Against Pittsburgh on the road, I don't know if you're going to have that kind of luxury. And look, Pittsburgh's, I don't believe, going to be able to put up a whole bunch of points against you. I also don't know the Texans are going to put up a whole bunch of points either. This could be, a kind of an old throwback. Every point matters a ton, even if it's just 3. So keep them out of field goal range or get into field goal range. And hopefully your kicker holds up in conditions that he's not usually kicking in. But for Stroud, some of the games this year where the opponent has hung around or the offense has had their big, quarter and a half or quarter and a third lull, a lot of that's been Stroud centric. Not all of it, but a lot of it has been Stroud centric. And I just think about some of the Kansas City moments. There were some moments in the Raiders game. There's a couple moments in the Chargers game where it's like the heat's coming, and he didn't find the answer or he didn't have the answer. And so it's like, how's he going to handle that in the playoffs? Hopefully he's not compounding that, making a bigger mistake like he did early in the season, which, I think about Seattle where he almost had the safety, and he'd take those big sacks early on for the huge yardage loss, and then you just have no chance to bounce back. This, to me, feels like a huge game in the evaluation of CJ Stroud. We got to pay him like a franchise quarterback, or we don't got to pay him like a franchise quarterback. And I'm not saying he has to go out there and be amazing, but if he's bad and you lose, that really hurts the conversation around, hey, big contract, long-term commitment to this guy.
Yeah, and I'll ask you this, like in a hypothetical world, let's say the Texans play 3 playoff games, and let's say the defense is good. Would you take these stats from CJ Stroud in 3 playoff games? In 3 playoff games, let's say they get to the conference championship. Would you take these stats? 54 of 89 for 616 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception, and a rating of 95.5 and a QBR of 70. Would you take that? Do you think that would be good enough, or do you think he has to be better than that?
With this defense, that feels like that'd be good enough.
All right. Well, that was Mark Sanchez in 2010, his second year in the league when they went to the AFC Championship game. So his rating was 95.5. Stroud's career playoff rating is 93.5. So it would be that's about like what you would need. And that's not a knock on CJ Stroud. That's more of a testament to how good the Texans defense is. But if you could get that the 2010 Mark Sanchez 3 games, and don't be insulted by that. The dude flipped the switch in that run. Drink. That would be a
yeah. Go ahead. Dob that on the bingo card.
You would accept that.
Yeah. I think, to me, this playoff run for CJ Stroud, and I very much believe this, if he has a bad game, they're going home. That I feel strongly about where the AFC is, the opponents they would face. If he has a bad game, they're going to go home at the end of that game. If he has a good game, that doesn't guarantee they're moving on, but it certainly makes it feel like, okay, they have a great chance to win that game. And then if Stroud's great, I don't know who's beating them. Like if they have a great CJ Stroud for the next 4 games, go ahead and play in the parade. Like I don't see who's beating the Houston Texans in that scenario. We just haven't consistently seen, even for whole games, we haven't consistently seen great from CJ Stroud, but good may get it done for a large portion of this playoff run.
Yeah, just good enough. I mean, that's you're not being asked to do a lot. And I know that the surroundings, there's criticism of the surroundings. Hell, we've talked about Nick Caley and the offensive line, but there's also favorable surroundings when you have that defense, and you do have some weapons. I think there are some underrated weapons, which brings me to the next question. By the way, join us at Spanky's on Friday. This is going to be a good one. This is going to be a good one. This is going to be a very, very crowded one. Spanky's this Friday out there, Bellaire, Sharpstown. John McClain will be there. He's rolling deep. So we'll be there. The homemade sauces, the homemade doughs, all that. My goodness, I can't wait. Best happy hour in town. We'll be at Spanky's this Friday.
My rule for Friday is I have to try something I've never tried on the menu.
Okay.
So I'm going to try something new.
There you go. I look forward to it. Maybe there's a lot of options.
Yeah.
Maybe a little sandwich, something like that. Who knows? Are there underrated players in this game? Are there guys that we are not talking about enough when it comes to this matchup?
I feel like you've done a good job here in the past few days of mentioning Jaylen Warren, but he seems like a pretty decent player that I don't know that it's anybody's looking forward to this matchup, but Warren seems like a guy that can go out there and get them enough on the ground to not derail their offense and not have Aaron Rodgers sitting in second and long and third and long all day long. So I feel like he's a pretty decent player in this matchup. I feel like, a lot of people aren't going to talk a lot about him. Really, probably not going to talk a lot about either of the top running backs for these teams. It's going to be a lot about the defense. How well is the quarterback going to play? The number one wide receiver for each of these teams, Metcalf, and then obviously Nico Collins. And I also think Freiermuth too. Just he's had some really big moments for the Steelers in his career there. And not that he's Warren or any of those awesome guys that they played earlier this year, but they use him. He'll all of a sudden he leaks out and he's open in the end zone. Rodgers finds him every now and then. It's like Freiermuth's a guy that I think is probably not thought about as much as he's a guy that's a key portion of their offense.
Yeah, I think there's a good one. At Party says he feels Rankins is underrated. I think Rankins at this point is the unsung hero. Tommy Togiai, you can't say someone's underrated for 18 weeks. Like it can't go on for 18 weeks. At some point, it's just an important part of the defense. But I think Rankins is a really good one by him. I think he's kind of like the straw that stirs the drink. I think there's probably also like a hidden element outside the stats, although he will surprise you with the stat sheet. My thing with this will be I'm going to take a whole class and put them here. I think the rookies possess a large portion of responsibility when it comes to the Texans. This draft class is going to be good no matter what, but it's going to be interesting to see how they handle this situation. Primetime, playoffs, Pittsburgh Steelers. There's a lot of responsibility that's going to be on this rookie class. We talked about the edge guys. Ariante Ursary is going to have to block one of them. And if he's not able to do that, that can wreck a game. That can completely wreck a game in the favor of a team like Pittsburgh. You also have Jalen Noel. He's going to be catching every punt. We talked about 2011. We talked about the David Akers 49ers and kind of compared like the flaws of that offense with Alex Smith and the fact that it left a lot to be desired. They go to the Super Bowl if they don't have a punt muffed. Like that's the underrated element of that. Williams muffed a punt, and as a result, they lost to the Giants. So you have a rookie back there catching punts in Jalen Noel, and you also have a rookie that can perhaps make a big play when you don't expect it, that we've been asking for a lot. And then the number 2 wide receiver, we thought it was going to be Christian Kirk. The Texans really, the last 2 times that they've left the field and their season has ended, the last 2 times that has happened, it's not having a good number 2 receiver has been a big part of it. Last year, no one really was able to step up or capable. The year before, Tank Dell was injured. So can Jaden Higgins be that guy along with Noel? And then Jalen Reed. I expect Jalen Reed to probably be at practice tomorrow. He hasn't played a lot. Is he going to be rusty? This isn't the time to knock off the rust. So you're throwing him right there to the wolves with some intermediate passing options. So I would take this question and I would just say the entire rookie class, whether it's a potential mistake by Reed or Knoll or Ursery struggling or Higgins not stepping up, the entire rookie class is really kind of under the microscope, not just Monday, but the run in general. And I'll be honest, I feel okay about it. I feel okay about it. That normally that would make you nervous, but I feel okay about it.
I do too, just because Ursery's what he's put together for the course of the year. Really like some of the performances he's had. I don't think Jaden Higgins walks into any game thinking he's not going to catch a touchdown. Like, he might be the most underrated, confident guy that you don't talk about as much on this team. The null point about special teams, because this team has wet the bed on special teams before, is such a good one. And the fact that you're going to lean on Woody Marks on the ground is obviously a huge.
Yeah, Woody. I didn't even mention Woody Marks. Woody Marks is your RB1. I don't even like. It's not even a possibility there. Yeah, you added Woody Marks. Like this rookie class, they did a really good job. And this is what we said. And this is where this rookie class can go from, in my opinion, the second most impressive job that this regime has done, behind last year's draft. And I said impressive. I didn't say best. I think anyone could have got CJ Stroud and Will Anderson with the equity they had. But as far as like finding the pieces that they needed on defense last year and offense this year, we said heading into the draft, if they can have an offensive version of what they did on defense last year in day 2, they might be cooking. And it's left a lot to be desired, but that can all effing change like in a matter of seconds. And I do feel like all these guys from Marks all the way down have potential to do it. So it's a good thing to feel. You feel pretty good about these rookies.
It is also when you look at the two teams, it's incredible how much the Texans not only trust, but rely on their rookies. And Pittsburgh, I mean, this draft class has basically been a huge bust for them. Like, I know they played Derek Harmon on the interior of their defensive line, but they spent the draft pick on a running back that can't even get close to cracking the rotation. They got a bunch of guys that are just, sometimes depth pieces. So it's very interesting to watch these two teams, how much the Texans, I mean, you're starting left tackle, you're starting running back, you're starting wide receiver 2, you're starting safety, and the Steelers over here have one rookie starter. And even then, he rotates with guys. So it's like, watching these two, comparing the rookies and how much they use them is very interesting.
It's playoff time around here. Shout out to TDECU for sponsoring playoff coverage. So I'm just going to ask you right off the top, and go to tdecu.org/Texans to get that Texans debit card. 15% off the team shop. Membership required. Insured by NCUA. So I'm just going to ask you this right off the top.
Playoffs?
Who makes you the most nervous of those rookies? And I'm sure you'll say Jalen Reed. So besides Jalen Reed,
I guess Higgins, because if he's a no-show or he doesn't make a play, or he makes a mistake, or he's not getting open, I just worry about the passing game. Like, it can't just be all Nico and a little bit of Dalton Schultz. So I would guess Higgins. I feel very confident in Woody Marks right now. I feel like he is ramping up to the best version of himself as the playoffs get here, which is a huge element because they have to run the football efficiently. I like the spot Ursery's in. He's done a really good job here in the past 6 weeks, and I know he had the injury and he's back, and he didn't look like it bothered him last week. Knoll's role is smaller than Higgins, so it's harder for me to kind of put it on the same level. And then, eliminating Jalen Reed from the equation, it's tough for me to. I would pick him if I couldn't pick him, I guess a Higgins no-show would be pretty tough for the Texans on offense.
What do you mean?
Captain Kirk, can you say, man? Captain Kirk, I want to have your baby.
What if this is the Kirk moment? What if he's just been saving himself for this moment? What if it is Christian Kirk time? What if he's just a big time performer? He's going to bring the rice out in the playoffs. Christian Kirk.
Well, then
touchdown.
then awesome.
What can I get on Christian Kirk touchdown?
I have to imagine that the odds are not fantastic. Are fantastic on a Christian Kirk touchdown. It's got to be greater than 7-1.
Give me 10-1, and I'll take it.
It's got to be. I cannot imagine. Let's see. Let me scroll.
Brady says, "Let him rest in peace."
7.5 to 1.
I need 10.
7.5 to 1. Better odds than Noel.
Do you think Nick Chubb is going to be active?
Yes, I do. I do.
And you think Jawar's on the practice field tomorrow?
I hope so. I hope so. I believe he will be. I do feel like last game was again precautionary for Jawar not being on the field versus coming back into the game.
Yeah, they ran with British Brooks. So could you see Nick Caley trying something crazy?
Stupid?
Yeah, like
like a trick play or something?
Yes,
absolutely I could.
We've seen some crazy stuff from Nick Caley.
Remember the play where Hutchinson was going to throw it and then he turned it into like a 10-yard gain?
God. I do.
Like that. Yes, I can absolutely see something very out of the ordinary. And mostly I think about it in the red zone. Like get down there, maybe first couple of plays don't work, or like, you get inside the 20 and then you get another first down and maybe like the first 2 plays doesn't go right. So then it's like, oh, here's a reverse to Nico. He's going to throw. And it's like, why is he throwing to Cade Stover? It's like Stover in the corner of the end zone on a Nico reverse throw. It's like, no, don't do that. Just hand it to Woody Marks.
Does this game feel kind of familiar? You asked this question before.
I thought about this and I was thinking about really back to 2 losses that the Texans had this season. And just how did I feel coming into that game about the opponent, the opposing quarterback, and then the opposing defense. And at first I kind of felt like, oh, like this kind of has a little bit of a Seahawks feel to it because 2 running backs, there's 1 wide receiver that you worry about. They use the tight ends pretty well. But I feel like that Seahawks defense had a little bit more juice and has a little bit more juice than what Pittsburgh has on defense. And they're just like edge rush by committee almost, where it's like anybody, or pass rush by committee, anybody can get to the quarterback, and basically anybody did in that game. So it didn't really strike me. This kind of feels like a game like the Broncos game. I don't think it's going to be high scoring. I don't believe the other quarterback's going to be very comfortable at all. I think there's something there that you need to pay attention to the previous success that the offensive coordinator has had. Obviously in Denver, it's Sean Payton, and he's an offensive genius, and Arthur Smith's not quite that guy, but Arthur Smith against DeMeco Ryans defense 2 years ago with less than what he's working with now had a decent enough game. And so it felt a little bit to me like Denver, where it's like, I know it's going to be low scoring. Defense has to be excellent. And you've got to find a way to gimmick points together. Obviously, we didn't get to see Stroud finish that game. So the full game comparison is not really there. But like, it feels a little bit like Denver, where points are at a premium. And if you let this other team's defense dominate you, you're not going to win the football game.
Yeah, I agree with you on the similarities of like the overall style. I think you broke that down eloquently, but I will say the one thing that Denver did that was pretty much their game plan was, we're going to throw 30 fucking deep balls, and if we only catch 2 of them, then so be it. That's going to be enough to win. I don't know that the Steelers are necessarily going to attack the same way. I actually think the Steelers might attack, in my opinion, and perhaps in your opinion too, because I know how you think about this. I actually think the Steelers, while it's easier said than done, I think they might attack this defense the way that I would attack the defense if I were an OC, which is try to find Petrie in coverage, try to get to the backs in the flat, fire them out. Like, That would be how I think they're going to attack it, get rid of the ball quick. But I don't see like a situation where they're throwing like Bo Nix is just closing his eyes and throwing the ball up, and
Well,
two of those get caught, and that's the end of the game.
That's one of the things where it's like Bo Nix uncomfortable in the Texans game was just wildly spraying the ball everywhere. If Aaron Rodgers gets uncomfortable, he's not really going to give you a chance to make a mistake, a chance for himself to make a mistake. He'll throw the ball in the dirt. He'll throw the ball at the running back's feet. He'll try to live to fight another day and try to not take the hit, honestly. But yeah, I'm with you. Find the little soft spots and hope the Texans aren't tackling well that day, or the tackling is an issue. That's definitely where I feel like the Steelers, and they've got some guys that have, played a lot of football from a pass catching standpoint, where it's like, hopefully, from if I'm a Steelers fan, I'm thinking about my offense. I'm hoping that Rodgers can, get them to that spot, or they can get to that spot in the defense that's kind of soft, and Rodgers can get them the football and they can try to make something miss or move the ball. Yeah, they're not. They might try to, send one down the field for DK every now and then, but it's not going to be, really poking and prodding the deep ball with this one. No, not at all.
The other thing that I think that Pittsburgh lacks, that I think the Texans can be vulnerable to at times, and we've seen it really at different points in the season, perhaps at an even extreme level, like beyond the actual consequences, is Bo Nix. They iced the game with a long scramble by him, and he's always a threat to scramble, so you have to be at least aware of it. You don't have to necessarily do that with Aaron Rodgers. And we saw Baker Mayfield when Baker Mayfield had his scramble, his fourth down scramble, which we mentioned constantly. Aaron Rodgers is not beating you with his legs, and it's very easy to close out on it. We saw it the other day, the ultimate example of that. So they don't necessarily possess that ability, which is something else. You even look at the Jags win. Like, if there's not that penalty on the Trevor Lawrence scramble, then we could be looking at that like it's like another version of the Baker Mayfield. So,
well, if that doesn't happen, I don't know if the win streak happens, and I don't know if they're in the playoffs. And let's pretend that win streak was 8 games instead of 9. Okay, well, you're the 7th seed, and you're going to New England this week, and we're not talking about a lack of offense on the opposing team. We're talking about maybe the MVP.
Yes. Let's go to the chat. Trey on Z chat has a playoff question presented by TDECU.
Swarm.
Trey says, since we know what Kaylee's offense looks like and it's not going to get much better, do you think it'll take Stroud making great plays for us to make the Super Bowl? At some point, you're going to have to make some big plays in a Super Bowl run. So I think so. I think at some point it will. And there's also CJ still does possess the ability to make big plays off script. So yeah, he's definitely going to have to make some big plays. There's no doubt.
And I think that the thing about CJ and big plays and great plays is he can do a lot of that, and it won't show up necessarily as like huge points on the scoreboard. Kansas City is probably the best example of that. Like, statistically, you're just scrolling through, you look at the box score, you're like, Jesus, 203 passing yards, a 34.8 QBR. What the hell went on there? And it's like, oh, well, actually, he extended a couple plays, moved the football, got him into field goal range, and kept this thing from, totally falling apart because he just made some awesome plays. Like, he can make great plays and it not show up in 3s and 7s all the time for this team.
Yes, I would agree with that. Another chat says, this is funny. Little Jesus says, Coach's favorite word is execute. Landry is flip the switch. I'm a big flip the switch guy in the playoffs. There's zero doubt about that. That is an embrace drinking game that I will fully accept.
Is Flacco's?
It's my word for clutch.
Yeah. That's good. I like that. Is Flacco's playoff run for Baltimore the biggest flip the switch ever? I mean, he went.
I don't know, man. It was kind of, yeah, I guess, but it was also kind of like an FU because he refused to sign a contract extension and then this guy broke off. Like, yeah, I guess. Yeah. I mean, Eli Manning's up there. Eli Manning's up there.
Yeah, Eli definitely had some. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Eli will come out of nowhere on you.
I will say, I do think there were times.
Oh, Nick Foles. 100%
Oh,
Nick Foles. 100% Nick Foles.
Yeah, no, there it is.
Yeah, Tom Brady, he got the best of Tom Brady in a freaking Super Bowl. Nick Foles, 100%.
Yeah. So just a quick little look there. Eli, the second Super Bowl for him, 4 games, 1,200 yards, 9 touchdowns, 1 interception. Awesome. Flacco, 4 games, 1,140 yards, 11 touchdowns, no interceptions. Just played out of his mind. Hit that big one against Denver, all that kind of stuff. They won a double overtime. But then Nick Foles is that's the answer. You're right about that.
Yeah, that's it. There's nothing better. Is it flip or flop? It's definitely flip the switch.
You have to flip the switch.
Yeah, you have to flip it. There's no flopping. And we've seen CJ do it in moments. So I do think the legs are going to be what to keep an eye on. I don't think there's there's obviously it was the main thing that we talked about when he went down was how is he going to use the legs, and we'll see in the playoffs. Like it's definitely going to have to be some sort of element. If that means extending a play, cool, but there's going to be times where maybe run for a first down. Like Aaron Rodgers did kind of try the other day.
Boy, it's like watching one of those cartoon characters run in the same place. His feet go up and down, but he didn't go forward at all. It's just like it's like watching somebody jazzercise or something.
Why is sliding not why does that make more sense than diving? Why is that any safer, especially when you're giving yourself up with a dive now? We've seen CJ dive before. It just seems like he's more comfortable diving.
I don't know why more guys don't dive, because it creates less of a strike zone for you. Because think about it, like the nature of the slide is your upper body is upright, and like even if you're sliding, guys will still hit you. We see it all the time. So even if you're sliding, guys will hit you. Guys don't, hit, these big giant kill shots to people's heads on dives. Now, if you dive into somebody, your head hits something, like that's different. But yeah, I don't know why more quarterbacks don't dive.
Yeah, I don't get it. Should be a thing.
And you get way more yards that way because they're supposed to mark you down when you start the slide.
Sir Wag says, afternoon, gents. Glad to see them. Texans next level. Landry, Cody, give us key members moving forward. Who are yours? It's obviously the quarterback, and it's obviously the rookies. The rookies are the rookies are the X factors, the whole draft class. Yeah, and I know Cody would probably say the offensive line. Do you trust Ursery? I'm a little bit concerned about that.
I trust the edge guys, or I trust the tackles in this one. I'm assuming Trent's going to be back. I trust the tackles in this one more than I trust like Cam Hayward could. I know he's football ancient. Cam Hayward's still very good at football, and he could mess some things up on the interior pretty easily. So I would say those interior guys making sure that Hayward's not wrecking the game from the interior is a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, they were a disaster last time. Like the last time they were in an atmosphere anywhere in the same stratosphere as the atmosphere they're going to endure on Monday night, they were a disaster. They were a functional disaster on offense.
Yeah, like
in the second half, and they haven't been able to really duplicate that since. And that's a point I really want to hammer home, because again, it goes back to proactive. We talked about CJ using his legs when he returned, and we talked about they're not going to be able to duplicate and clean things up the problems they had against Kansas City until the playoffs. So we get to see how both of those things shape up.
And it's worth noting, 4 of their 5 losses this year the opposing team either had a significant player or a significant presence on the interior of their defensive line. Byron Murphy in Seattle, Zach Allen was playing very well for the Broncos. The Rams have 5 different guys that they rush on the interior, and then Big Vita Vea there for the Buccaneers. So 4 of the 5 losses, the opposing team had a really good interior of their defensive line. And okay, you want to talk about screwing the Texans up and setting them up for failure, stuff their early runs, which are sometimes very predictable, and put them way behind the chains and force Stroud into a mistake. So don't let Harmon, the rookie from Oregon, and Cam Hayward wreck this thing on the interior.
Yeah, that would be that would be the interior of the O-line. I don't feel like there's been as much concern, but I don't think it should be completely eliminated. Do you feel like we've gotten too comfortable with the Texans offensive line?
I think there's an element of that, sure, because
it does feel like when we talk about stuff, like we talk about the offense, but it doesn't. And they've improved. Like the way they function is better. I think the Laramie Tunsil trade, we were big proponents of that even before it happened. I think it's paid off as far as like the contagiousness of the iron sharpening iron element of it from top to bottom. But do you think we're maybe getting a little bit too comfortable with the offensive line? Because we've seen it in seasons. We've seen it completely wreck and in seasons.
It's tough because a couple weeks ago, I would tell you the Chargers have a better pass rush than the Steelers do with this version of TJ Watt out there. A couple weeks ago, they handled the Chargers pretty well. So it's like, okay, you did okay there. Like it was, you held up well and held up nice in that. There haven't been a lot of huge tests here in the back end of the season outside of the Chargers. Like Max Crosby wrecked the game for as much as he could as an individual player with a knee injury. He wrecked the game for against them, but the Cardinals don't have anybody. The Chiefs, they were just sending everyone. Jones had that one drive where he just took over. I like Cam Hayward. He's not Chris Jones right now. Like the Colts are not scary from a pass rush standpoint. The Bills really weren't even that scary from a pass rush standpoint. So they've done a nice job finding level. It just, you'd hate to walk into the playoffs and have them be an issue. I don't believe they will be. But let's see who's playing right tackle and how that adjusts the offensive line before I can declare that.
Cam Hayward's just a complete OG, dude.
He's got an enormous head.
He's a badass, dude. Yeah, the hat wouldn't fit him. You see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, the hat wouldn't fit him.
He might have the biggest human head that I've ever seen.
Did you see when like the music was too loud in the locker room and he said, "Hey, turn that down," when he was with the media?
I didn't see this.
Let me see this. All right, let's see. Look at this guy.
I don't really look at that. That's not a big deal to me. Yeah, you're going to get up the field. Hey, Bird, turn that down, please.
Look how quick they do it. Whoop. He runs that place.
Oh yeah, he's been there forever, and I think there were a couple of moments where he thought about calling it a career, and they've done a good job of kind of keeping him going and getting him back, and he's still very good. If you look up on Monday Night Football and you see 97 making plays, don't be surprised.
Yeah, he said they're playing with house money. He said we're playing with house money. That's their leader. So that's how he feels about it.
I mean, if the Steelers have any hope of doing anything in the playoffs, every game has to be nothing. I mean, it has to be everything, every bit of every defensive anything they've tried, every offensive anything they've tried. Like they've got to just empty the clip to try to win any game that they're going to be in for the rest of their time.
All right, Rich Boy Jay wants to put us on the spot. My goodness. He's asking for
Swarm.
predictions for the other games. I'm starting to something weird's going on with Jacksonville. I don't know what's going on, but I look at line movement. Something strange is going on with that line movement. Buffalo is favored by 1 now, but it's just been hanging around on the pick'em range. I remember the last time these teams met in the playoffs. I think it was a 7-0 game. The Bortles year, 2017. I think Tyrod Taylor started. I know Josh Allen's not Tyrod Taylor. I'll take the Jags, but I maybe it would just be cool to get Buffalo out of the way. But maybe I'm putting too much in line movement, but something's going on with the line movement there that's just making me kind of wonder.
It is a little bit of a confusing line because Buffalo's not playing amazing football right now. Jacksonville's put up quite a few points. It's not like Buffalo's some awesome defense.
I feel like they're begging you to take Buffalo. Like they're on their knees asking you to take Buffalo.
Yeah, I would. I'm going to take Buffalo just because
Sure.
I believe Josh Allen's better than Trevor Lawrence.
Charge it to the game.
And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I think the Rams are absolutely going to splatter the Panthers. Just utter domination.
Yeah, that's one of those things where it's cool that you beat them in the regular season, but now they're just going to want to beat your ass.
And I think the Bears are going to splatter the Packers.
Yeah, I think the Bears win too. I got the Bears. I got the Rams. I think the Eagles beat the shit out of the Niners too. I think the Niners have maxed out their overachieving. I actually think it's an impressive job by Kyle Shanahan, but Trent Williams is banged up now. Not having a wide receiver 1 will catch up to you. Their defense is just depleted with no Fred Warner and Bosa. Like they're basically acknowledging that they're going to give up like 350 yards a game, and they just have to keep teams from scoring touchdowns. Like I think San Francisco's done an excellent job. I just think eventually when you're missing that much and you're going to Philadelphia and Philadelphia's battle tested, I think the Eagles beat the 49ers.
The mortality is near for Trent Williams and Lane Johnson, who are both banged up heading into this one.
2 Oklahoma winners, by the way.
Trent more banged up, it seems, than Lane Johnson in this one. If Trent Williams doesn't play, then I'm not picking the 49ers. If Trent Williams does play, I'm picking the 49ers. I feel like Shanahan and Purdy and McCaffrey and Kittle can gimmick it together. And Philadelphia's just had too many moments where the offense has just threw up on itself. I like the 49ers if Trent Williams plays. If he doesn't play, then I like the Eagles.
He's going to play. It's just a matter of if he stays. Like he's going to try to play. You know how Longview folk are.
Well, then I'm picking the 49ers. I'm taking the 4.5. And if he goes out in the middle of the game, I'm trying to get my money back on the Eagles.
I'm alternate lining that one. I'm taking Philly. I'll probably bet it up to 10.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah. Philly. Yeah. I mean, it's just they know how to win, man.
Yeah.
They know how to win in big situations. That Buffalo game. The other interesting thing about the Buffalo game is, God, I'm starting to love Parker Washington. Starting to think he's like the most underrated player in the division for sure. Who else is in the discussion? Parker Washington, and who else is underrated in the division? Maybe Kamari.
Kamari does not get properly rated by everybody else. We obviously know he's very good, but yeah, Kamari is definitely in there. I mean, coming into this year, I probably would have told you Alec Pierce, but I think everybody's kind of realized it now.
Yeah, wait till you see that contract. That will probably be overrated by the time.
Wait till the Jets hand him $80 million.
Yeah, 3 months we'll be saying Alec Pierce is overrated. So yes, that's kind of
exactly.
I think.
You and I probably, I think Jeffrey Simmons has caught up to everybody else. Like I think everybody realizes how good he has been. You and I were always Jeffrey Simmons guys, so he's probably properly rated now amongst defensive tackles. I think it's a pretty good list here. Parker Washington's been fantastic for them in Jacksonville. So it'll be interesting to see who makes the big plays at the wide receiver spot for Jacksonville, because he's had some moments. BTJ like spiked, and then it's kind of like back down to earth a little bit. And then Jacoby Myers has been awesome for them since they added him.
Strange is underrated too. I think that's a good one. He's a good player.
Yeah, their tight ends. Britton Strange is very good.
On Z chat.
Swarm.
Gustavo says, leaving the barbershop feeling fresh. So let's get this effing win Monday night. Hopefully, after a win, we get them weak ass Pats. If they ain't with Houston, F them.
So to get the Pats, you need a obviously Patriots victory versus the Chargers, and then you would need Buffalo to beat the Jaguars. Then Buffalo would go to Denver, and the Texans would go to New England.
You didn't give your thoughts on. We didn't give our thoughts, I should say, on Patriots Chargers.
I like the Patriots in a close one, a close, high scoring one.
Chargers are another team like the 49ers who've just. I mean, how the hell are you here? Like, what the hell are you doing here? Stifler from American Pie. What the are you doing here? Sherman, aka the Chargers. Like, I don't, and I dated myself with that one. My God, that was millennial of me. I like the Patriots, but the Chargers are going to be rested up and they're a little bit more experienced. I do want to see what Justin Herbert looks like. New England's defense is not great right now, and their offensive line is a little bit banged up, but I like the Patriots. I like Mike Vrabel.
I like Vrabel a lot. My thing with this game is the Patriots, they don't currently possess the defense to take advantage of some of the shortcomings of the Chargers offense. Like, they just haven't been an awesome defense this whole season. And then over on offense, like Travion Henderson's getting going now. Ramondre Stevenson's kind of melded in and meshed in with him. They're using both of them a lot more now instead of just relying on one of them or one of them being healthy. And then Diggs is playing out of his mind right now. It seems like the more controversy, the better he plays.
Yep.
He might hit his Gardner tomorrow and go for 200 on Sunday.
Does his Gardner have a BBL like his damn chef? Tristan Stone Williams says Broncos or Pats. Who would you rather say? Pats.
Yes, Pats, because they don't possess.
Is good, but yeah,
they don't possess the defense to stop you, and the Texans' defense against their offensive line could be a feast.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, for sure.
I would pick the Texans to go beat the Broncos, though. I do not believe in them.
Look, man, if DeMeco Ryans is capable of making Justin Herbert look pedestrian and Josh Allen look pedestrian, it just seems maybe this is a race card.
Race card.
It just seems like in a big situation you could do the same with Drake May or Bo Nix. It feels that way.
Yeah, I just think Bo Nix should have nightmares having to get ready for the Texans defense.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. There you go. All right, so that's where we're at with the other games. Actually, a fun exercise. It's a fun weekend. It's kind of crazy. Like, college football is so scared of the NFL that they're playing games on Thursday and Friday.
Yep.
Just stay out of the NFL's way, and then the NFL will be playing playoff games on Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So this is as good as it gets. This is a hell of a stretch. I like how college divided it up too.
Yeah, no double up, so you're not, staying late or having to focus on two games at once as one's coming to an end. I like that.
Yeah. Tazewell says his chocolate lab loses her mind on every race card.
Well,
it's interesting.
Well, maybe she just knows the intricacies of the race card usage.
Yep. Maybe she thinks I'm playing it because she's black. I don't know. You never know. Or he or she. Don't know.
Well, he said her, so.
Oh, maybe she's playing the race card. There we go. Gonna be a fun one for sure. Tomorrow practice 12:45, right?
Hey, bro. Alpha Aaron here.
Yeah, 12:45.
Patrick said Alpha Aaron called the dog Jake Andrews. Oh my gosh.
O-line shifts are tough for a lot of people.
Oh, that was a Jared Patterson, Laken Tomlinson. Okay.
Yeah. O-line shifts are tough for people.
Okay. Yeah, tomorrow 12:45. I think we see what to watch for at practice tomorrow.
Kamari.
He's there.
I know, but just to have him there the first day would be more comforting.
Jalen Reed. I think that's an obvious one. The fact that they got rid of Wallace.
Trent Brown.
Trent Brown's out. He's been out there. He was out there last week, so he'll be there. And then Nico's obviously good to go. So yeah, they'll be fine. And then D'Amico will probably have like some real good insight on Arthur Smith. He's watched the tape now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Jamal Hill will be out there. I know Rick has to ask about him. Rick asked about Jamal Hill. Jamal Hill will be out there. He's good.
Special teams thumper, man.
Yeah, he's walking around. Very violent special teams lately, by the way.
Oh yeah, I like it.
Very violent special teams. Very good punting. You look at this we don't talk about it, but last 2 weeks, special teams player of the year, punter, or of the week, punter and kicker.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Kaimi, not going to enjoy this weekend too much.
No, it's very different.
I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction. I think Kaimi misses his first field goal.
Wow.
45 plus, I think he misses it.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
Cold grass. Sorry. Can't rely on the kicker in this one.
Okay.
That's my shot called. I don't know if I can bet on that. But I think he'll settle down, but I think he misses his first one in that cold weather.
Wow. That would suck.
Yep. You're very dependent on him. Is he going to be sleeveless? No. Zero chance.
Yeah. Yeah, he'll have the sleeves.
He tried that for one day. It didn't work out. He went back to playing soccer.
Yeah.
That's what it is. But that would be my prediction. Anything else that we want to add before practice tomorrow?
If you don't have the TDECU Texans debit card, you can certainly get it. TDECU.org/Texans playoff coverage for this Texans playoff run presented by our friends at TDECU, your credit union.
There you go. All right. Subscribe, like, right along. Always remember when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together.
Eat good, sleep good, be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Get ready for practice, baby.